Say, man, welcome back to GuddaTV, man. The verdict has been read and the Diddy trial is over. You understand me? So everybody that was consumed by this trial can move on with their lives. I know some people is mad about the verdict, man. I know it. I know some people pissed off, but hey, man, it is what it is. Diddy has been somewhat found guilty by jury of his peers. And some people is feeling some kind of way about that because he ain't got life. They ain't gave him a first-class ticket on a private jet to go to hell. Diddy has 9 lives, obviously. You understand me? Now, the feds took a major L on this case, and overreach was part of their problem. You understand me? Now, Diddy was not found guilty of any RICO-related charges that include racketeering, conspiracy, or sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. He was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution of Cassie Ventura, and he was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution by the young lady that was named Jane in the case. Without further ado, man, let's get to the content. Say, man, if you watching this video right now, man, and you like how we kick it over here at GuddaTV, man, why don't you do me a favor and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notification bells, man. It won't cost you nothing. I promise you. Why don't you go ahead and do that for the boy and help the channel out? Appreciate you.
Okay, all right. It is being read right now, I am told. Aaron, let's take it back to you as we are now hearing from the judge inside the courtroom.
So the jury, Kira, had to fill out this form, which lists the charges, proven, not proven, the predicate crimes, and whether Sean Combs is not guilty or guilty. On count 1, the racketeering conspiracy charge, Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, perhaps the most complicated charge for the jury to understand. The count 1 had provided for a number of predicate acts, but the jury does not have to get into that because they have found Sean Combs not guilty of leading a criminal enterprise, not guilty of racketeering conspiracy. They will now move to the other 4 counts, 2 of them on sex trafficking and on and we have not guilty now on count 2, which was sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of sex trafficking when it comes to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. There was a real debate that the jury heard over the course of the last 2 months about consent and coercion and the complications of deciding when an 11-year relationship between Combs and Cassie Ventura may have become a criminal one, and the jury decided it was not criminal sex trafficking when Sean Combs committed what his attorneys freely admitted was domestic abuse, as you saw in that video. He has been found not guilty now on racketeering conspiracy, not guilty on sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. He has been found guilty on count 3, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. He has also been found guilty on count 5, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. These charges carry a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in prison, so we do have a split verdict. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, not guilty of sex trafficking Cassandra Ventura, but he has been found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And we're waiting for 1 more count, the sex trafficking of Jane. And just now the jury has decided that Sean Combs is not guilty of sex trafficking his former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. So the jury has now believed that the relationships that Sean Combs had with his former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, were not criminal, did not involve sex trafficking. All Sean Combs has been convicted of here is transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And Kira, those did seem to be the most evident crimes that Sean Combs committed. We heard testimony from the male escorts. The jury heard about the cash that they were paid, and as prosecutors told them, they were not in those hotel rooms for scintillating conversation. Sean Combs is of prostitution, not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, not guilty of sex trafficking.
Let's put
Kira?
this in perspective now that we know where Sean Combs has been found guilty and non-guilty. Let's put into perspective, Brian, on time he will serve. What are we looking at now with regard to years? Of course, we should point out there will be an appeal. He's got plenty of money to do that. But let's take it from where it stands right now.
Kira, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. I'm not even sure if I would say there would be an appeal, because for Sean Combs and his defense team, this is a massive win. 3 of the counts that had a life sentence possibility are gone. When it comes to transportation to engage in prostitution, the minimum is nothing. There's a theoretical possibility that he walks out on probation. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, but the max is 10 years. Even if you were to take both sentences, and he's not going to get 10 years, they're going to look at his criminal history, mitigating circumstances, aggravating circumstances, and I would assume that he gets somewhere in the middle ground, maybe like 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years possible through that sentencing range for each count. Sean Combs going to trial where he was facing life and being able to walk out with something under 10 years, well under 10 years possibly, that is a victory. Will he appeal? Sure, that's his right to do so, but I don't see an appeal here. I think you take this as a win, you serve the few years that you may get, and you be happy that you didn't get life. I'm somewhat shocked as to the trafficking for Cassie. I thought that might have been a stronger case for the government. I didn't think that they had the RICO, and I definitely didn't think they had the Jane trafficking, but this is, I think in only so many words, and I keep saying it, I think this is a positive result for Sean Combs and his assumption that someone should be held pending prosecution. That assumption is gone now because he's been found not guilty of those 2 charges. And to piggyback off what Aaron is saying, the severity of his punishment has greatly decreased. He's no longer looking at life. He's looking at a max of 10 years on each count. Some of that time he's already served while waiting for this case. Mark Ignifilo, the defense attorney who's leading this case, has said that his private plane is in Maui. He has no access to it. So he's hinting at the idea of a number of things that a judge will consider when thinking about bail. Is this person a flight risk? How serious of a sentence are they looking at? And flight risk goes into 2 portions. The actual ability to fly and not come back to the jurisdiction, but also the likelihood of doing that. A person who's facing life, more likely to be a flight risk. A person who's just beaten 3 of the 5 top counts in a trial like this and is only facing 10 years, far less of a flight risk. And so while I think it's somewhat of a Hail Mary for him to be released today, this is the strongest possible outcome that he could have had to make this argument. And I think the defense has a leg to stand on in making this argument that Sean Combs should be released pending the sentence.
Let me ask you, Brian, because you and I were talking for days about the videos, the just how explicit they were, how Sean Combs treated these women. Listening to Cassie Ventura break down on the stand, listening to other women, former girlfriends, talk about the way he treated women. I brought this question to Aaron, but I want to ask you as well, as someone who's an attorney, someone who has been in the courtroom for cases that involve domestic violence, knowing what we know about what happened and how he treated these women, and now looking at this outcome, how he's been acquitted on the most serious charges, your overall thoughts moving forward about what this says about the Me Too movement, the power of a music mogul when he has money, when he has fame. Your thoughts? So my thoughts, I think, I try to go beyond just being an attorney, and I'll try to sidestep that and just talk as a man, as an adult. I think there can be no mixing of words as to what Sean Combs is when it comes to the treatment of women. Full stop, period. There's no question as to what we saw in terms of the strength of the women who took the stand and testified about the abuse that happened to them. There's no question about the photos we saw of Cassie in terms of the bruising of her body, the bruising of her face, and the violence in that Intercontinental Hotel. Full stop. There's no
justification of that. There's no explanation of that. And I think in terms of the Me Too movement, there should be strength in the fact that those women were believed in terms of what they said. Putting my attorney cap hat back on for a moment, I think the difficulty of this and what may be perceived, and I hope it's a perception and not a reality, of the Me Too movement taking a step back based on this verdict, I think it comes from the overreaching of the government in this case, of trying to fit the allegations of this case into a RICO conspiracy, made it that much less palatable for the jury to take what they were saying to be true. And I think that might have also affected, in some way, shape, or form, the trafficking as well. I'll be honest, I'm somewhat shocked that they did not find Sean Combs guilty of trafficking Cassie because of the violence there. But I think that they made a mistake of not understanding the difference between a brutal domestic violence relationship in which Sean Combs participated in and was in many regards an aggressor of, if not the absolute aggressor of, and trafficking. And I think the overreach and misapplication of what 12 people in the Southern District of New York, or what society would believe to be trafficking in RICO, that misstep and misperception is what led the SDNY here. The SDNY has phenomenal prosecutors, has a phenomenal office, and their record speaks for itself. But I think in this case, they overestimated the strength of their case, and this is what happens when a jury speaks.
Now, look, man, let's put a pin in this. Now, this Diddy trial was salacious. It was dark. It was evil. It was all of the things. Low vibration. All of the negative connotations that you can think of. And most importantly, it was freaky. You understand me? But at the end of the day, it got really, really simple to the 12 jurors. You understand me? Because the picture that was painted by the prosecution and the whole public perception of it all was, Diddy was all of the things. You understand me? But again, the jurors made this very, very simple. And it came down to what was consensual, what wasn't, what was criminal, and what wasn't. The salaciousness of it all of the freaky things they talked about with the baby oil, and yes, the Cassie tape did not win the day because he was not charged with any type of domestic abuse charges. You understand me? So, yes, the Cassie tape was bad, but it did not win the day. And the jury made this real simple for them, for themselves. What was criminal? What wasn't? What was consensual? What wasn't? Yeah, he might be a freak, but is that criminal? And the only thing that we found out and that was confirmed during this trial is that Diddy is a freak. We've been hearing for years that Diddy like men, Diddy like this, Diddy like that. You understand me? But now we understand that this man is, he is what he is. He like what he like. Is it criminal? And it wasn't. It is what it is. And I know some people feel some kind of way about it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Feelings do not prosecute people. You understand me? Feelings do not send people to jail or prison for the rest of their life. You got to have the goods, man, when you go in front of that jury and when you go in front of that judge. Because you feel some kind of way about what you saw, that does not correlate into a prosecution. You understand me? So it is what it is. The man pretty much beat the feds in this one because they tried to pull, they tried to use, first of all, they shouldn't have never used the RICO to try to, get Diddy crossed up. They went about this the wrong way. You understand me? They fumbled the ball, fumbled the bag, however you want to slice it. But the overreach played a major role in this trial. And the whole salaciousness of it all and all, they just exposed Diddy for being a stone cold freak. And last time I checked, it ain't criminal for nobody to be a freak. You understand me? It's some freak ass people that was in there, that was in the trial. It was some freak ass people in the jury. The judge might be a goddamn freak, as far as we know. You understand me? But at the end of the day, it was really, really simple, man. What was consensual, what wasn't, what was criminal, and what wasn't. I'll get at y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be smooth. I'm out.